this month we are focused on it just to promote the book and make you aware of things we can do together. But those mindful coloring sessions will always be there for you to enjoy. And this year, we are adding 5 extra pages that weren't part of the original 12-page sample to help you color in a little bit more.
Now, we have a friend who has a husband who doesn't really understand the importance of calming the mind. And in our case, the importance of coloring in so that we can calm the mind. I get that 100%. But if Barry could understand that his wife needs to unwind after a long day of taking care of the family, and that he could help her do that by understanding that she needs the time to herself, whether it was to shave her legs or go for a walk or have tea with friends. The thing is, she needs time to fill her own cup. And a coloring book with coloring sessions is going to help and go a long way to make sure that Barry's wife feels fulfilled. Yes, it's a small little act she can do at the dining room table after dinner or while she's waiting for dinner to cook or while she's in between those processes of washing and folding washing and, you know, the in between moments of our busy lives. Coloring in is one of those practices that help to soothe and ease and also give you a moment to break away.
Now, I know it seems funny and weird to have a coloring book as an adult, but if you give her enough time to take care of herself, she is going to feel that she wants to give back. And it works in many, many ways. And now, yes, let me take a sip. Yes, a coloring book isn't always the answer, but in there is a moment where she can just take something for herself. She doesn't have to think of anybody else's needs. She doesn't have to worry about making sure that other people are okay. In that moment, when she is sitting down with her coloring book or her sketchbook or her art supplies, she can literally forget about the world around her. And if she's anything like me, we tend to work way more than our fair share. But that also means that while we're working hard and playing hard, we also need to balance that out with something else. And that's where my coloring book comes in. It's not just a coloring book. This is the powerful floral remedies. And it's for modern lifestyles. It says so on the front cover. And when I created this book, I had two things in mind. One, to give someone a place to color in and draw and experiment and come back into. And secondly, to use each of those flower essences to help guide their emotional states. Now, you created your lives together, right? And in that togetherness, there was not 50-50. It should have been 100, 100. In other words, instead of each partner giving 50% to make up the 100, what if we could allow ourselves to be the full 100? And on days when one of you, and this I learned from Renee Brown. Is it Renee Brown? I'll have a look and make sure I have her name right. Brianne Brown. I'm not sure. I'll have a look. But anyway, so on a day when one partner just has 30% of courage or motivation or energy to deal with life's things, the other partner can make up 70% or give 100% of themselves. And in this way, if you allow your wife to color in, not that she needs your permission to do so, but if you can see why she needs it, then you are going to be left with a wife that feels more fulfilled, that feels more able to give parts of herself, to give time to others, to make room for other things in her life. She is not a machine. She is trying to overcome stress. She is trying to get rid of overwhelm. She is trying to minimize the piles of work that are heaping up. And if she's not giving back to herself, it's going to make that so much more difficult. And remember, she has emotions that are fluctuating just like yours. And if there's a coloring book or a thing she can do, an art, a craft, a something, it beats this. It beats this. The endless doom scrolling, the endless looking for things outside of ourselves. If she can put this down and pick up this, these, and some watercolor supplies, small little palette. She might even have stuff already. Then she is going to feel fulfilled, feel like she has me time and that she doesn't have to give in to everybody's demands all the time. Coloring in helps to shift the focus from the problem to solving the problem. While you are in there expressing yourself through color, fixing those emotions, then anything can happen after that and we'll be fine. So, a coloring book, it's not that she wants my coloring book, it's that she wants a place to go to that's only for her. That's only part of her identity. That's only there for herself. And yes, she might occasionally share a coloring session with the kids or with a friend or go out to an art group and enjoy herself there. And I'm not only talking about Barry and his wife, I'm talking about all of us who tend to just give, and never take anything back for ourselves. You need to take a break. You need to give your brain a break. You need to activate those right brain creative problem solving things by relaxing. And scrolling on the phone is not relaxing. Paging through a coloring book, deciding what picture to color in next, that's relaxing. Sitting down to color in, that's relaxing. Drawing something new, that's relaxing. And learning from these guided floral meditations is also relaxing. And it helps you to see how you can stand tall, how you can be guided by all these things. And maybe after a session, your wife could be like a sweet pea. The sweet pea essence helps us to discover the inner beauty of our work by revealing our natural talents, harmonizing and grounding. It's grounding that creative energy that lets us connect to Mother Earth. Sweet peas attract and guide us towards our creative talents while allowing us to accept ourselves for who we are, grounded and open to create. So, forget about the world around us, forget about the stress, forget about the things that are holding you down, and give yourself a break. Now, I do want to tell you about Linda Mackenzie's testimonial, where she came in and shared a beautiful love note about her experience with the powerful floral remedies. Now, she got her book last year and she said, "Dearest Tanya, I never imagined the powerful floral remedies coloring book would help me to disconnect from work. The best parts of starting this new habit was that I remembered what it felt like to color in again. The experience in itself warmed my heart to the possibilities of play. And much like your mother in law, who inspired you to color in before dinner, I now enjoy taking a few minutes every day to revive my mind with a drop of relaxation." It really does bring your mind into the present moment and helps you to complete some part of yourself that you might have lost, you might be yearning to find again, or that you want to reconnect with. And it's not about escaping, it's about giving your neurology and feeding your neurology with something that it needs to help promote calmness. And when we can look at coloring in as that shift from stress to ease, from what happened yesterday into the present current moment, then we can forget about the stresses and the anxieties that are lingering and knocking on the doors of our mind. Coloring in is a beautiful way to relax the brain, and it's part of that thing I want you to always keep in mind, and that is a pleasure goal. You have to have a pleasure goal. And yes, with all the productivity going on and all the things people want to impose on you about structure and discipline and routines, yes, there's room for that. But again, that balancing act where you have to have a pleasure goal, and that pleasure goal is part of your life. It needs to be part of your life. It needs to be there so that it can help you harness those rewarding feelings so that you have a better mood, a better time, and also stop scrolling and wasting away your time. So, give yourself this proverbial mental break and color in.
Now, even if you don't have this book, you can still download the 12-page sample and get your hands on 5 additional coloring pages that we've shared throughout Floraltober. Now, just because Floraltober happens once a year doesn't mean that you don't have to color in every single day. How you can do this is set aside a specific time for when you are going to color in. And instead of scrolling the on the phone, open up your coloring book um, and have an additional piece of paper or a watercolor sketchbook next to you and practice and play with the techniques. I love using watercolor in my sketchbooks. Yes, They are not designed for watercolor. But if you go in quickly and get out quickly, watercolor and quick washes will be your friend. But you can also use coloring pencils. You can also use crayons. You can also use acrylic paint. Whatever you want to put in your coloring book is your business. The idea is not to color in a perfect picture. The idea is to give you a place to go to so that you can calm your mind, not stress about color theory and all kinds of other things. Just a gentle place to unwind. Now, there are many tutorials in our membership, but while we're coloring in, I want you to give freedom to your color choices, freedom to the layers, freedom to the placement of things and objects, either adding them to the coloring page. I've done many videos where I've added multiple stories to my coloring pages. And that's why there's so much space available. It's so that you can reimagine your scene. Now, while I was drawing these drawings, I went through a time where I would go for long, stretched out walks all on my own and look at people's gardens. At that time, I didn't have a garden of my own, but I wanted to see what will bring me joy. And even now, just coloring in gives me that feeling of happiness, that feeling of, I can almost smell the sweet peas. I can almost touch and feel them. Our imagination is such a vivid, beautiful thing that if you are imagining the worst, then a coloring session will help you imagine the most beautiful things. It will draw away your attention. It will pull you from that awful thing you're going through. It will help you get rid of emotions. It will help to free your mind and to find yourself. Don't ever be shy or feel guilty for wanting time for yourself or for coloring in for that matter. Nobody knows what you are going through. They're not in your shoes, they are not feeling the feelings you're feeling, and they are certainly not always in a position to understand what's going on. I sometimes find that just sharpening my pencils is already a step in the right direction. Now, clearly, you can basically do anything you want in your coloring books. Sometimes adding more layers intensifies the depth and it builds on that shape. But I don't want to make any rules for you in your coloring book. And I also don't want you to make any rules for your coloring book. Just have relaxed fun. And that alone is going to distract you long enough to help calm your mind. But while you are there inside your coloring book with your supplies, your thoughts, your feelings, and that emotional outburst of color, you get to regulate what goes onto the page, how much water you're going to use, how many layers you're going to add, how many times you're going to sharpen your pencil, and of course, how much time you're going to give back to yourself. That really is the bottom line here. It's that sometimes we don't give ourselves time. We don't give ourselves permission to be free, to make new choices. And as easy as it is to blame someone else, saying that they were the ones that kept me from this, or they are the ones that didn't want me to do this, the choice is still yours. And it's as easy as making the next choice. What's keeping us from doing the things we want to do is really indecision. Let's complete the final details with a little bit of music. all that's left to do is to add some color to the background. Now, I'm thinking something like a beautiful summer's day's blue sky peering through these beautiful sweet peas. As I'm remembering fragrances in the air, eating the sweetness of those peas, and enjoying a walk in a garden that will linger in my memory for a long time. But also knowing that I have access to a coloring book where I can live and relive that memory. I hope you have made new memories and that you understand why coloring in is such a beautiful practice, a mindful practice for you to enjoy, to calm your mind and to just bring yourself back to center. On days when you have too much work to do, I want you to come and color in. On days when your to-do list is growing and growing, I want you to take 15 minutes and give back to yourself. On days when having children becomes a little bit too much, or situations become too much, or life feels overwhelming, take 15 minutes for yourself. Take a half an hour. Take a full hour. Make it color happy hour. I don't know when this happened, when it became a guilt trip to take time for yourself, when it became this game of needing permission to do self-care. Whatever is holding you back from doing this is the very reason you need this. And you don't have to be good at anything. You don't have to be an expert watercolor artist. You don't have to have the best coloring pencils. You don't have to have anything to do something as mindful and creative as this practice. And you can certainly color in any other coloring book. You don't need this particular one. What you do need is time to yourself. That's all I have for us for today. And I want you to enjoy creative playtime and make sure you make room in your life for a pleasure goal. There needs to be a space in your life for pleasure goals. All right. Show me what you colored in and be ready for whatever life throws your way just because you made time for yourself.